As we've been journeying through Acts chapter 10 as a church, there's so much there, right? There's so many miracles where tradition is being broken apart, where God is actually stretching us to think more about what the gospel is doing, not less. And these two people come together almost serendipitously. It's almost like God is in the background planning all of this, but if you were just looking at it at face value, you would say all of this is impossible. But this one man named Cornelius and this one man named Peter, God is bringing them together, and ultimately is going to bring all of us who are not of Jewish descent together as well. But when Peter shows up, Cornelius says something that I find worth pondering. He says, "Now we are all here in the presence of God to listen to everything that the Lord has commanded you to say to us." And when I read that, I feel just honestly really convicted. And I want to ask you this question and make this challenge to you and to me, that we would gather together like they did with that level of expectation. Because can I ask you that question? Would you sit with yourself for a second and ask, do I come together with other believers gathering with that level of expectancy? Where we are sitting here in the presence of God, waiting eagerly to hear everything that God has to say. I mean, we are those who know that God is alive, that He's moving in the world, that the Spirit of God is in us and is birthing new things all the time. I mean, if we know that, how much more should we expect when we go to things like worship? We're those who know that God inhabits the praises of His people. That even as we fellowship together in our lobbies at our churches, that we know as we see the divine image on the faces of others, that God is doing something in each life that is unique and different, even amid our ever-varying, beautiful diversities. And then we get to hear the word of life opened up and spoken, things that have always been true being proclaimed to new ages. Our prayer, friend, ought to be exactly what Cornelius said, except directed to God, which is, God, we are here in your presence, listening to everything you have to say through all the different mediums in which you do it, through worship, fellowship, the word, all of those things. Here's my challenge to you today, and then I want to end with a quote from a church father in history. The challenge is to up your expectation. God is more good than you think He is. He is more active in our world than you think He is, than I think He is. God is always better than my thoughts of God are. So can we show up with greater levels of expectation? One of the church fathers in history said it like this: when we approach the liturgy, the coming together, the church, all that stuff, we ought to do so with great expectation, as though we were about to enter into heaven itself. We should come with a pure conscience, with a fervent soul, and with a heart full of love. We are not just participating in a mere human action. We are being caught up into a heavenly reality, joining with the angels and the archangels and all the heavenly host in worship to God. This is why we must approach the liturgy, the coming together, the practices with great awe and joy and expectation, knowing that in it we are encountering the living God. Can your prayer today, and as we gather together corporately, but as you go to God individually, be, God, I'm here listening to everything you have to say, no matter how you want to say it, because I know that you're even better and you want to speak and you want to move. Here I am, listening.